Okay, yes, the biggest action sequence in this movie is when Katniss shoots a plane out of the sky. And yes, they probably could have told the whole story in one movie. And yes, there are no Hunger Games. But you gotta admit, it's still a better love story than Twilight. It says penis. So, Mockingjay Part 1 takes place right after catching fire. District 12 is blown up. She's underground with District 13. All of her allies are there. And essentially, this is like a giant pep rally for presumably the big battle scene that will take place in Part 2. Now, I know I ripped pretty hard into this movie in the last video I made, which you can find right here. But after seeing the movie, I have to admit, it's a lot better than what people are giving it credit for. Sure, not nearly as much happens in this movie as the previous films, but I gotta say the pacing is pretty much alright. People tend to forget that these movies are not purely all action. In fact, in the last two movies, it took nearly an hour before we actually got to the actual Hunger Games. If you want pure action with very little to no acting, go watch Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Running Man. It's a great movie, but totally different mood and atmosphere.
Here is Sub-Zero! Now, Plane Zero!
I love that. Anyway, this movie is really about strategy, PTSD, and like they say, moves and counter moves. Katniss, played by Jennifer Lawrence, is a symbol that the rebellion needs to use as a way to motivate the people to go rise up and rebel against the Capitol, which is an old bearded white guy, played by Donald Sutherland, and a big group of stormtroopers. While PETA, standing at 4-1, is broadcasting opposing views, telling people that they should put their weapons down.
Let us stop this mindless violence!
I can see why people would be disappointed with this movie. We've stepped away from the formula that was used in the previous two, which kind of felt like American Idol followed by, Battle Royale. And now we have this new type of formula, which is kind of like two sides of an election during a smear campaign. And while this movie serves as a middle point to a much bigger story, it's held up nicely by the acting performances of Jennifer Lawrence, Woody Harrelson, Elizabeth Banks, Philip Seymour Hoffman, the brother who was not Loki, and Pepe Le Pew. I for one didn't mind the split of the movie into two parts. As someone who's been a fan of serial shows such as Breaking Bad and True Detective, I'm perfectly fine stretching out a narrative for the sake of character development. And since Lawrence has blown up with films such as Silver Linings Playbook, Winter's Bone, American Hustle, Days of Future Past, and this franchise, I had no problem with it. In a story that takes its time, she keeps the pace of the movie going, something that could have been failed if in the hands of a less qualified actress.
No, please!
Seriously, this is top notch in comparison to the Twilight shit that came out. At least here I didn't feel like I was trapped in some cheesy teen novel with bad dialogue. The only complaint I really have with this movie is that there's one scene in which they pull directly from a scene from another movie, Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. And it's the worst scene of that movie, in which during a very chaotic scene where anyone can die, our hero finds that someone they care about is risking their life for the sake of the family pet. That and the fact that Jenna Mahone, who was only seen for about 1 second, looks like Deadpool from X-Men Origins. Yeah, kind of a letdown. With that said, I give Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1 a B. It's definitely a film that will either be tarnished or improved upon based on how good the sequel is when it comes out next Thanksgiving. Anyway, you've been watching Burns Reviews. Be sure to subscribe, leave your comments down below, and as always, thanks for watching. Because you just got burned!
If we burn, you burn with us!